The chair is going to declare the special town meeting in order. At this point, the chair is going to invite you to join with me to honor the memory of victims of violence and the efforts of first responders with a moment of silence. Please stand. Thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Gentlemen, please remove your hats or caps unless you are a veteran, in which case you will remain covered and render the hand salute until the end of the pledge. On the podium, okay. You are not saluting me, for the record. You are not saluting me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. The procedure this evening, in light of the fact that everyone has a copy of the warrant, is that the chair will be reading the motion and will recognize the member of the select board who will be moving the motion and who will second the motion. And at that point, the floor, as usual, will be open for debate, okay? And just so that that is clear as far as how we'll be moving ahead as far as the procedure. With that, the first motion for Article 1, and that is, if you care to carry along, is on page 2. I move that the town vote to amend the vote taken under Article 7 of the June 2023 annual town meeting by increasing or decreasing the amounts to be appropriated for the various town departments, as shown in the attached Appendix A, to meet the salaries and compensation of town employees, expenses, and outlays of the town departments and other sundry and miscellaneous but regular expenditures necessary for the operation of the town for fiscal year 2024, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, such that the total appropriation is reduced from $4,323,201 to $4,253,460.41, of which $92,752 is transferred from free cash, such that $4,160,708.41 is being raised through taxation. Motion made by Mr. Williams, seconded by Ms. Young. Any discussion on the article? And the chair sees none. All in favor of the article, please signify by raising your card. Thank you. Please lower your card. Those opposed, please signify by raising your card. And the article passes unanimously. Article 2, the motion. I move that the town vote to amend the vote taken under Article 9 of the June 2023 annual town meeting by increasing the amount to be raised and appropriated by $69,641 for a new appropriation of $5,820,065. I'm sorry, $5,820,65 to pay its share of the Quabbin Regional School System District Assessment for fiscal year 2024. Motion is made by Ms. Young, seconded by Mr. Perego. Is there any discussion on the article? Ma'am, if you can, please come forward. So, again, the procedure is going to be, thank you, Mr. Moderator, or Mr. Moderator, your first and last name, your street address. I'll invite you to proceed.
Okay, my name is Dawn Marie Raska. I'm at 3 Williamsville Road.
Oh. There we go.
Test. Okay.
Okay.
Dawn Marie Raska, 3 Williamsville Road, Cut Off, Hubbardston, Mass. This is
is my first meeting. I don't want to take a lot of time, but what does it mean when we move funds around? Are we short, or are we just changing things?
Thank you, Ms. Raska. Mr. Administrator?
Thank you, Ms. Raska, and welcome to your first town meeting. Thank you for joining us. Let's give her a little round of applause. And to anyone else that may be joining us for their first town meeting, that one was for you as well. So basically what happened here is we are moving around money, but there is no more additional taxation or money spent versus what was spent at our annual town meeting last year. The budget for the school's regional assessment was not funded to what they had requested. It was approved at 6% versus 7 and some change, but then all of the other regional communities approved the budget, so therefore the budget was approved. So we are going back and amending the vote of last June to ratify that situation. There's no additional monies being spent, nothing from this year's free cash being spent. However, I do want to reiterate that this is becoming incredibly challenging to do year after year. Yes, last year there were cuts. This year we are fortunate to, due to a number of situations outlined in the meeting packet, to not have to make any cuts. All of this money will be reallocated to the different departments at the end of the year, with the exception of the expiring debt, which will go into the general operating budget from this point on. It's not necessarily what I or anyone on the finance team wanted to see, but you have to do what you have to do when faced with situations like this. I look forward to working with the school committee and the Quabbin Regional School District Administration over the course of the next year to come to a understanding of what the needs and wants are for FY25, but with that, we are doing exactly what we need to do to fulfill our obligations. Additionally, thank you all for being signed up for the reverse 911. That really worked. Perfect.
Thank you. All set, ma'am? Thank you. Anyone else discussion on the article? The chair sees none. All in favor signify by raising your card. Thank you. Please lower your card. Those opposed, please signify by raising your card. Article passes unanimously. Article 3. I move that the town vote to amend the vote taken under Article 11 of the June 2023 annual town meeting by decreasing the sum appropriated from the PEG Access and Cable Related Fund for the salaries, benefits, committee stipends, and other operating expenses of the Hubbardston Cable Advisory Committee for fiscal year 2024 from $40,000 to $30,000. Motion is made by Mrs. Monroe, seconded by Mr. Walker. Is there any discussion? The chair sees none. All in favor, please signify by raising your card. Thank you. Those opposed, please signify by raising your card. And the article passes unanimously. Article 4. Article 4, the motion is, I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $14,354.93 from the PEG Access and Cable Related Fund for the payment of prior year invoices for the salaries, benefits, committee stipends, and other operating expenses of the Hubbardston Cable Advisory Committee for fiscal year 2023. This is going to require a 9/10 vote, and the motion is made by Mr. Perigo and seconded by Mrs. Monroe. Is there any discussion on Article 4? The chair sees none. All in favor of Article 4, please signify by raising your cards. Thank you. Those opposed, please signify by raising your cards. Article passes unanimously. Article 5. The motion, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $6,991 from free cash to pay the town's share of a pump replacement at the Hubbardston Center School, including all costs incidental and related thereto. Motion by Mr. Walker, seconded by Mr. Williams. Is there any discussion on the article? For the record, that does not count as discussion. This isn't Congress. All in favor, please signify by raising your cards. Thank you. Those opposed, please raise your card. Article passes unanimously. Article 6. The motion is, I move that the town vote to accept Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 200A, Section 9A, as printed in the warrant of the October 26, 2023 Hubbardston Special Town Meeting. Motion made by Mrs. Monroe, seconded by Ms. Young. Is there any discussion as far as the article? Again, please start off, Mr. Moderator, or thank you, Mr. Moderator, your first name, your last name, your street address.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Susan Flagg, 9 Evergreen Road, Hubbardston, Mass. Does this include the houses that are falling apart, who owns them, that are sitting there? Is this included in that kind of a thing? Because it says taking beneficiaries and stuff. I just was curious because we do have quite a few now.
Thank you very much. Anyone in particular?
Can you reiterate the question?
Yes.
We have in town, I can think 5 or 6 houses that are falling down. And I don't know who the beneficiaries are or where it came from. Does this conclude that the treasurer has the right to take those houses and do something with them?
Thank you. Thank you. Legal counsel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Carolyn Murray, the Town Council. No, this does not impact anybody's properties, to be clear about that. This is just if you at some point in time perhaps overpaid a tax bill or some other kind of charge, and the town now owes you money, and they haven't been able to find you, or they've made attempts to mail a check to you for some reason, but it hasn't been cashed. This only deals with those kinds of cash reimbursements owed to someone. No one is losing their homes as a result of this.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Town Moderator. Maria Torigny, 40 Streeter Road. So at present, you would turn the money, unclaimed money, over to the state, which someone could find it eventually. But you want to stop that and you want to keep it in the town, and that person can never claim it after the town takes it, as I read it.
Town council.
So I'll just speak to the legality of the statute because this is not my warrant, this is not my article, I'm not advocating anything. The statute here imposes a process upon the town treasurer, and it's a fairly lengthy process of having to try to make so many attempts to notify whoever the organization beneficiary payee would be. It involves having to place an ad in the newspaper. Depending upon the amount of the money, we may even have to put that money aside in a separate account and hold it for a year. The treasurer has to entertain hearings if there's anyone who comes forward to say, hey, I think that money might be mine. So there's a lengthy process that it eventually goes to, but this isn't just, gee, we tried to mail the check out to you once, no one cashed it, and we take it. There is a process and notification to the potential payee to try to get that money returned to its rightful owner.
Okay, I just want to understand that. If it continues to go to the state like it does now, you could find that money years later and claim it. But if we go with this bylaw and it stays with the town after the process runs out and however long that takes, you can never claim it after that point. I just want to clarify that, make sure I've got it right.
chair asked legal counsel the question whether or not the escheat process includes a specific window of time. Legal counsel says it's her understanding it does. She is not sure as far as how long that is. So in other words, if it is escheated, if it is set aside, as far as the state is concerned, unclaimed property.
But if we change it with the bylaw and it stays with the town after the process runs through, you can't claim it after a certain time. I'm just trying to understand if that's what.
That would be correct, assuming the treasurer has followed all of the procedures and notified all the parties and advertised in the newspaper the requisite number of times. That'd be correct. Eventually, once the time expires, that money can then go and be credited to the town's general fund and can be appropriated for town purposes.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion? Yes, Mrs. Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Heather Monroe, 59 Grimes Road. Just a couple questions, probably split between Mary and Nate on this one. So as far as this process goes, maybe the first question the treasurer might be able to answer, or Nate, but can you explain briefly just what the administrative benefit is to having the tailings? And then the second, do we have an idea about the average amount of a check that's kind of hanging out on the books right now? And then my third piece was just a follow-up comment. So if I understood those conversations correctly, it seems like once the money goes to the state still has a period of time that at some point you can't find that money anymore because it goes away. So it's not there indefinite for the next 30 years. There's a period of time, we just don't have that expiration date handy on our end.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Ms. Monroe. So at this time, we have approximately $25,000 in checks that are considered tailings. That could go back into the town coffers. It takes approximately 2 to 3 years for the entire process to happen before I can send anything even to the state level. And at that point, yes, there is only a certain amount of time that the state will hold on to those funds for. So we unfortunately don't gain any interest or anything on our end by just holding that money out in the account. So this process would just help alleviate that so that the town can recoup on that backside to reuse it.
Thank you.
Oh, the average amount of check is probably about $100. We might have a couple slightly over that, so they're not very large checks. Most of the time they're either vendor checks or very small reimbursements that go. So we do anything over $5 goes back to a resident, but most of them are much, much smaller than that $100 mark.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? The chair sees none. All in favor of the article, please signify by raising your card. Thank you. Please lower them. Those opposed, please signify by raising your card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There were 5 in the negative, Madam Clerk. Thank you, and the article passes. At this point, Mr. Chairman, you're all set? Yes. Thank you. At this point, we are looking at 722, a new record. Thank you very much. The chair declares this special town meeting adjourned.